I don't know what would have happened to us. But I know one thing, because of their work, their attitude, and their commitment, we have witnessed what I like to call a nonviolent revolution under the rule of law. They have changed America forever. Not just Atlanta, not just Georgia, and not just the South, but America.
You were talking about the last time you saw Dr. King. We had a copy of his speech I wanted to play the excerpt from. And could you tell us about, do you have it ready, Tiana? We don't have to play the whole thing, it's 6 minutes long, but this is part of it, so you can kind of recognize.
An assassin's bullet may speed. It is as old as our foreparents' revolt against the evil system of slavery.
This is
And
at
as
her
modern
part,
as
I
our
think.
willingness to face the sharp teeth of vicious dogs, the brutal hands of inhuman policemen, and the staggering waters of powerful fire hoses. We must be reminded of the urgency of now. The oft-repeated cliches, the time is not right. Negroes are not culturally ready. Are the stench in the nostrils of God. The time is always right to do right. Atlanta needs an Amos to cry out. Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. Atlanta needs another Jefferson to scratch across the pages of history, words lifted to cosmic proportions. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Let me say to everyone assembled here that the problems of Atlanta will not work themselves out. No.
Okay, well, that's appropriate enough. So what was that like, and what was your experience with Dr. King here in Atlanta, and what was the last time? Please talk about the last time you interacted with him.
I love the words that Dr. King spoke when he talk about the urgency of now, that the time is always right to do what is right. Martin Luther King Jr. was my hero. He inspired me. I remember when I was 15 years old, I heard of him. I met Rosa Parks when I was 17. The next year, I met Martin Luther King Jr. at the age of 18. And it set me on the path. If it hadn't been for Rosa Parks and Dr. King, I don't know what would have happened to me. Dr. King told all of us, especially the young people, the students, to stand up, to speak up, and speak out. I saw him the very last time, just a few days before he was assassinated in Memphis. There was a meeting at Pasca's restaurant in late February or early March, where he was planning the Poor People's Campaign. He had invited black and white citizens, Native American, Latinos, Asian Americans, to come and be prepared to go to Washington. I left that meeting and I heard that Robert Kennedy had announced that he was going to seek the Democratic nomination for president. I sent him a telegram and told him I wanted to have him. So in a few days, I joined the campaign of Robert Kennedy. I went to Indianapolis, Indiana to campaign for him. So I was with him. We heard that Dr. King had been assassinated. And there was a debate whether Robert Kennedy should speak to an audience. And I, for one, insisted that he must come and speak. It was in a neighborhood that was changing, but blacks and whites came together, and he spoke. And he announced to the audience that Dr. King had been assassinated. We all broke down and we cried. The next morning, I got on a flight and came home to Atlanta. And I always felt that when Dr. King was assassinated, something died in all of us. He was a son of Atlanta, son of Georgia, son of America, but he was a citizen of the world. And I don't think many of us ever recovered from the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr.
Just briefly, he never officially led a movement in Atlanta, but how deeply, intrinsically was he actually really involved? 'Cause
Well,
he comes up all the time,
well,
even though he doesn't necessarily come up as the head of different things.
Martin Luther King Jr. never led a struggle, a movement in Atlanta the way he did in Montgomery or in Birmingham, uh, in Albany, Georgia, Selma. But his spirit, he taught us. He taught us the way of peace. He taught us the way of love. He taught us the way of nonviolence. So his shadow, his spirit, his very being influenced almost everything that we did. And I think many of the young people, and people not so young, probably had what I call an executive session with themselves. What would Dr. King do? What would Dr. King say? I know at time some people would say, Dr. King, you need to go with us, and you need to get on the bus, you need to do this, that. There was so much of a demand on this one man. I don't know how he did it, but he did it.
And just lastly, when your experience as a freedom rider, when you were coming through Atlanta with other people, what was it like from the perspective of sitting on that bus coming in from city to see what laid in wait for you as you rode in that probably most vulnerable position, because you're captive on the bus, and you're captive once you got there, because once you're off the bus, you're completely unprotected. So what was that like to experience that?
Then on a freedom ride, it was very dangerous. It was very, very dangerous. We didn't know what was going to happen. I was one of the original 13. We were beaten and left bloody in Rock Hill, South Carolina. An angry mob met us in Montgomery, left us bloody. I was hit in the head by a member of the mob with a Coca-Cola crate, a wooden crate, pinned up against the wall. Hammond for the public safety director of the state of Alabama, who fired a gun straight in the air, saying there'll be no killing here today, there'll be no killing here today. I don't know what would have happened to any of us. The mob was so angry when they saw us.